Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing.
Lovely, thank you. Can I ask everyone please mute their microphones at all times unless invited to speak by myself? So I've received no apologies to date. Members, if there's any, I can take them from the floor. No apologies, okay. And again, as always with declarations of interest, I'm happy to take them now or can do them as we go through the meeting. Thank you. And members, we have Fiona Douglas in the chamber from Nilga. She had some technical difficulties last month at our committee meeting, so I'm very pleased to welcome Fiona here this evening. So thank you. Pass you over to her now.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair, and thank you to Armagh City, Banbridge and Craigavon for the invitation to make this presentation this evening to the Governance Resources and Strategy Committee to come along and speak to you about the Nilga Leadership Development Programme for elected members. My name is Fiona Douglas and I'm the Regional Development Manager at Nilga. Okay, so just a bit about Nilga in terms of who we are and what we do. Nilga is the regional representative body for councils in Northern Ireland. We are owned and constituted by the councils and are considered a regional voice for local government, lobbying for progress and protecting councils' interests. And Nilga does this through various functions which are detailed on the image on the left-hand side of this slide. Functions like workforce, where we represent councils in national pay negotiations, communications, representation and our policy work. Okay, so elected member development, which you'll see at the top of the image on the left-hand side, is a core part of what we deliver regionally for councils, and the Nilga Leadership Development Programme is a key aspect of this, and it's what my presentation will focus on. I've also highlighted some of the current initiatives that Nilga is involved in, just on the right-hand side, including the positive and constructive regional response we made to the current draft programme for government, also our constructive participation in the independent review of councillors' roles and responsibilities. Also, just to highlight that we are in the process of coordinating the 10-year anniversary local government awards and campaign, and that's taking place on the 27th of March, big date celebration for you all to be involved in. And over the past 18 months, we've also been bringing councils together to benefit from investment in transformation and innovation opportunities. We've been partnering with the likes of PwC, Small Business Research Initiative, Hayes, Socketim, the LGIU, the Local Government Information Unit, and Amazon. So just to highlight some of the key initiatives that we've been involved in over or most recently. And then just by way of some background and context to the Nilga Leadership Development Programme for elected members. So when I took on the post of Regional Development Manager in 2016, it was apparent to me that councillor development was happening on quite a reactive basis with no real understanding or alignment to the knowledge, skills and capabilities councillors need to be effective in what is a unique and very challenging role. But at the same time, it was widely recognised that democratically, locally elected representatives are in a really strong position to make a difference to their local areas. It was clear it's a demanding role, and it's demanding within an ever-challenging and complex context, which to me, it was clear that councillors needed support and to be upskilled to respond and to help solve these challenges. Okay, so Also, at this time in the work I was involved in, the much needed tailored confidence and capacity building programmes weren't in place, and executive managerial based leadership programmes aren't the right fit for this unique locally elected representative role. So it was clear to NILGA that a tailored learning experience was needed to support councillors. The NILGA Leadership Development Programme, just to take you through some of the objectives of the programme, aims to develop and improve councillors' strategic knowledge, leadership skills and decision-making capabilities. It aims to enhance councillors' corporate role and personal brand, as well as equipping councillors to act as effective community champions and change agents on behalf of their areas. Okay, the programme, as I said, is completely tailored to the learning and development that councillors need to be effective in the role and to reach your full potential in terms of delivering for your areas. There are 8 modules, and the modules are very much set within the context and aligned to the most up-to-date and acclaimed research, theory and practice. And just to take you through some of the modules to give you a sense of just how tailored the programme is. In the introduction, we focus on the roles of the councillor. There are multifaceted roles that councillors are required to perform in the role. Also, a focused module on leadership of your local area, helping you better understand your place and its people. Module 3 focuses on leadership of your local community, helping you better understand your people and its assets. 4 considers leadership with partnership work and collaboration, very much in the sense of we're all in this together, and to support you to maximise how you collaborate and partner with key stakeholders. Module 5 is focused on leadership of place, which relates very much to the council's strategic leadership role. Module 6 looks at leading the improvement of outcomes. Module 7 is all about leading improvement of efficiency and service delivery. And at Module 8, we bring this all together in helping you better understand and develop your future leadership role. We also look at how to help you manage stress and build your personal resilience as well in that final module. Okay, and as it said previously, that it is very much aligned to and drawn on the most acclaimed and up-to-date research. And just to highlight one of those key pieces of research which this slide depicts around the acclaimed research undertaken by the University of Birmingham, the 21st Century Councillor. This research is considered to be a call to action for councillors and organisations to rethink and reimagine this role of locally elected representatives. It provides a basis on which to better understand the key competencies, skill sets and confidence building tools that councillors need so that you're able to deliver in an increasingly challenging, complex and accountable landscape. And just in terms of the image in that slide, it considers that context in terms of austerity, the relationships with officers, relationships with citizens, the place itself. To the left bottom of that slide, it identifies the roles that councillors are required to perform, so that you have a clear understanding that, you know, it's such a multifaceted responsibility and role, you know, that you're undertaking. And then to the right of that slide, it's very much the skills, knowledge and capabilities that you need to enable you to perform those roles and respond to that challenging and complex context. Okay, so drawing on and just focusing a wee bit more then on the multifaceted roles that you're required to play. We'll be taking in the programme a deep dive into the multitude of roles that you're expected to perform, and just to highlight a few of those and give you a bit of understanding of what we mean in relation to them. Advocate you will be familiar with, it's a key part of the work that councillors do, acting on behalf of all citizens, not just those who shout the loudest or your voters, but also the most vulnerable and the voiceless. Steward of Place is all about ensuring that the decisions you make and the resources that you're making decisions on are protecting, the place, not just for today and for your children, but for your children's children. And then things like buffer, whereby you're mitigating the impact of the challenging context on citizens, again, particularly for those that are most vulnerable. And what's probably surprising to see in there is the likes of an entrepreneur, and that's very much tapping into the work that you as councillors will be doing with citizens and partners, where you're developing new and creative and innovative solutions to a lot of these challenging and complex issues that your place and your people are coming up against. So that's a key part of what we'll be covering within the programme, and just to give you a flavour of that. So in terms of what the programme involves, time-wise, it's 8 3-hour modules over 8 to 9 months. We also ask that you cover some reading related to each of the modules. Now, this is reading that's only going to, enhance and develop, your understanding and your confidence in terms of the role. It's very relevant. It's bite-sized. We're not, putting too much pressure in terms of the level of homework that you're required to do. There are 2 practical assignments that the programme involves: a presentation and a learning journal. The presentation's an opportunity to really ensure that you take the learning and carry it with you, and the journal is an opportunity for you to reflect and apply to how you undertake your role after each module. We also ask that participants, councillors, bring their imagination. There's opportunities for reflection, for chats with your colleagues, trying out ideas in your daily work as a councillor, and it's all very manageable, and we, through the programme, support you to ensure that you're getting the best out of that. Okay, so also to point out that during the 8 modules we also focus in on the political skills framework as well, where we explore and enable you to really get under this, and behind the knowledge and skill sets that are required for councillors to be effective in the role, and you'll have an opportunity to identify your own strengths and learning opportunities around each of these. There are 7 political skills. This is based on the local government associations work that NILGA and through our collaborative network we're able to update to include the effective use of digital technologies and social media at Module 7, and also personal resilience, which in the original 2015 skills hadn't been included. Okay, and just to give you a sense then through the lens of the local leadership political skills, we ask for participants to consider each of these skills in terms of the positive and negative behaviours and attributes associated with them. If we take, for instance, the local leadership skill, in terms of the positive, we have identified that this looks good when a councillor is engaging with their community, canvassing opinion and looking for new ways of representing people, encourages trust and respect. They're approachable, emphasising and finding new ways to engage with others, and also works with others to develop and champion a shared local vision. We also identified the negative behaviours as well for you know, your reflection and understanding as well. And then we ask councillors for each of those political skills to carry out a self-reflective exercise where we ask you to reflect on how you see yourself in terms of, say, local leadership, having considered what good looks like and not so good looks like. And we ask you, councillors, to consider what your particular strengths are, using examples and illustrating how you can improve. So just to give you a sense of some of the practical exercises that are involved in the programme. So just then around the learning approach, it's all about helping. It's designed and structured to help councillors develop their confidence using the module sessions, the course learning materials, personal reflections and discussions with colleagues. It's all about enhancing your local leadership for the benefit of local people and local government more generally. And we believe that councillors learning on this programme is particularly effective because it's interactive, it's councillor led, we keep feeding in suggestions using that co-design approach. It makes use of councillors' own experiences, and we keep in touch with participants throughout and ensure, you know, that you're caught up. I mean, we're very much aware of how busy the role is, and that there will be occasions when, you know, you might miss a module, and we have in place the right approach that ensures that if that were to happen, that you're caught up and you stay on top of all the learning. The assignments give councillors a chance to hone your presentation skills. It's very much assessment based on your, you know, speaking skills, your influencing skills, very much aligned in that regard. And most importantly, it's good fun. And you know, there's previous participants have really enjoyed and found it a really worthwhile way of building their confidence and capacity. There is the opportunity to achieve an accreditation for the programme, and it is optional. It comes from the CPD Standards Office, who have a high reputation in terms of accreditation. It consists of 24 hours or 36 hours of CPD credit, reflecting whether or not the participant has undertaken the assignments in the programme. So you will achieve CPD accreditation for participation alone, and then extra for participation and completing the assignments. And I just wanted to include this photo of previous cohorts and the sense of achievement that those councillors have felt. And this photo depicts from participation and completion of the programme. Okay, so just some contact details for myself and also Tony Bouvard from a non-profit organisation, Governance International. He's the lead facilitator of the programme, so I've just included contact details for us both there, and I'm happy to take any questions that you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fiona. Members, if you have any questions, if you want to set aside a few minutes if you have any, just put your light on. If not, thank you very much, Fiona, for your time.
Okay,
Thank
thanks
you.
a lot.
Oh, sorry, we have one question. Councillor Lavery.
Thank you, Chair. You put a bit of pressure on. I wasn't going to ask a question, but just thank Fiona. I know Nilga run a lot of training courses. Me and Fiona were having a chat about one that went on back a couple of years ago regarding skills for planning committee members at the time. I think Councillor Duffy was on that training course as well and found it very worthwhile. So a lot of the courses do help you to build skills and experience in different areas. As you said, just a time commitment sometimes with all the things we have to juggle as elected reps, but it is worthwhile to go on these courses if you have time to do so, Chair. And I'd just like to thank Fiona for her time here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lavery. Alderman Mitry.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to also say it's good to see Fiona here declare an interest as an executive member of the NILGA. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Mitry. Councillor Kyle Savage.
Yes, good to see you again, Fiona. Just to declare an interest as well as an ILGA executive. Right.
Thank you. Councillor Tim McClelland.
Yes, indeed, Chair. Thank you for letting me in. And just to concur with the welcome for Fiona and to declare an interest as both on the ILGA executive and on the strategic policy network or framework, I think it's called. Thank you.
Thank you, members, and thank you again, Fiona, for your time. Thanks. Members, if we're content, we can move on to agenda item 4.1, decision item on draft performance improvement objectives. So I'll pass you to Martina. Thanks, Martina.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. Members, this is a decision item on draft performance improvement objectives, and members are asked to approve the consultation documents to go out for an 8-week public consultation period, and it relates to a set of 4 performance improvement objectives which officers have developed based on previous performance in council, evidence based on an understanding of our citizens' needs, corresponds directly as well with our council's priorities, and based on some self-analysis of our performance. Just to point out, whilst there are 4 improvement objectives identified, that no way limits the council's commitment to continuous improvement across all of our services and functions, but it just concentrates efforts on these 4 particular areas in addition. So all of the consultation responses will be considered and incorporated into a final performance improvement plan, which then is statutorily required to be published by the 30th of June this year. And there are no additional legal implications or financial implications, and within the paper it identifies the risks which are being mitigated as a result. And there is also included with the consultation relevant equality screening forms and rural needs impact assessment, and any response in relation to those will also be monitored in relation to the reach of our consultation exercise with our Section 75 categories. And in relation to climate and sustainability, you'll see that Performance Improvement Objective 2 actually relates to an objective around reducing council's environmental impact through the development and implementation of a climate and sustainability action plan. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Martina. Alderman Mitry.
Thank you, Chair, and I thank Martina for the report. It's gratifying to see that sickness absence is a priority, as historically it has been an issue this council has not made progress on. I welcome the fact that last year we put a specialist resource in to help improve our standing, and hopefully we will see an improved position this year. But given that the Northern Ireland Civil Service average sickness absence is 12 days a year, and the average for the 11 councils is 16.9 days a year, and that's using the latest figures, and ours is well above that, I would pose a question: is a target of 16 days or lower challenging enough? Because this is costing our ratepayers megabucks year on year.
I'll bring in our Deputy Chief Executive, Charlene.
Yes, thank you, Alderman Mitry, for the point that you have made there. You're correct in terms of our average days are higher than some of those figures that you have quoted. However, we have been setting ourselves a baseline, a target of the 16 days with the intention of reducing down to that point and then having further targets after that. There are a number of departments and teams that fall well below the 16 days as well. And through our Performance and Audit Committee reporting, we have certainly been reporting on a team-by-team level, which you will have seen. So you will see that there are differences and there's very targeted areas. We have introduced a number of different measures around review of sickness and absence with the departments in that regard as well. But again, that is explained in further detail in the committee reports. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lavery.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Martina, for your report. And particularly want to welcome the second sort of key target there about Council implementing the Climate and Sustainability Action Plan. I know this will be very much welcomed in the community, particularly with regards to the large environmental concerns which have arose in recent years regarding Lough Neagh and other areas. So Council acting as a leader in the community to not only develop an action plan but then to deliver key elements on it, showing local environment improvements. Know some of the best environmental assets in this borough are owned by Council, Lurgan Park, Craigavon, Lakes and so on, to name but a few. Therefore, if we're continuing to progress, as I said, as a community leader, hopefully that will help others in the area to also progress in these matters. So I think it's very much welcome, Martina, and we look forward to implementing this over the coming years.
Thank you, members, for your remarks. This is a decision item, so if we could have a proposer and seconder to move forward, please. Proposed by Councillor Mackle, thank you. Can I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lavery, for all agreed. Thank you, members. Agenda, oh my God, I can't speak. Agenda item 5.1, external consultation schedule. So I'll pass you to Elaine for this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Evening, members. Members, this is our regular monthly external consultation schedule for this month. So this month's schedule is there for you as Appendix 1, and subject to any changes that members may have, we're seeking approval for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elaine. Again, members, if you've no comments or questions, it's a decision item. So if I can have a proposer and seconder for agreed, proposed by Councillor Mackle, thank you. Seconded by Councillor O'Dowd. Thanks a million. So members, agenda item 6.1. So we have Kate to report on this, the publication of declaration of interest forms. And there's a number of options for us to consider. Thanks.
Good evening, members. This is an item for decision and the report is taken as read. Members will recall that at November's full council meeting, it was decided that a report would be presented to members on options available for the publication of declaration of interest forms on the council's website. The report sets out the legislative position, what the code of conduct states, current council practice, how other councils publish forms, position on disclosure of personal data, and options available. So the options set out in the report are that we publish the forms online in their original form with no redactions, or we publish the forms online in their original form but with members' signatures and addresses redacted. Members are asked to approve one of the options set out in the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Alderman Baxter.
Oh, there we are. Thank you, Chair, and thanks for the report, Kate. I think the discussion was very much around openness and transparency, so in that vein, just to follow through with the openness and transparency, I would happily propose option 1.
Thank you. Councillor Lavery.
Thank you. That's a bit strange, Chair, because I know very much the discussion when the motion was brought was about making sure such issues, sensitive issues such as members' addresses were protected, which obviously would be revealed with that proposal, so I certainly wouldn't accept it, and I brought the motion. Option 2 regarding publication, but with elected members' addresses redacted and signatures redacted. It's a more appropriate option. My only question for Kate would be around, it seems that other councils, would have theirs typed, and when I was going online, it seemed to be a much more navigable system to use. So my query would be, would we be able to, produce ours as typed versions, with the addresses and signatures, not included? That would be my own preference. For sort of progress on this issue, because I know that if we, as we're encouraged to, submit new forms every year, with changes in that would mean 41 forms times 4 for the various redacting publications, whereas if we type them, then they're just done sort of once at the start, and then any sort of minor changes which are very limited. So I'd actually be suggesting maybe in option 3 that we publish it via typed version similar to other councils with addresses and signatures redacted. That would be my own view, Chair, and I wouldn't support the elected members' address because I know there are certain sensitivities regarding policing matters where elected members' addresses should not be published. because of various sensitivities that have been reported over the years, and I'll not get into it here, Chair. So we need to be very much conscious of that. So that would be my proposal, Chair, that we go with an option 3 typed with addresses not included and signatures not included, similar to other councils there.
Thank you, Councillor Lavery. So your proposal is to go with option 2 and have them typed as well? Put your light back on if you can.
It would just be to have them typed similar to a number of other councils rather than publish the forms as well. Just type them up, put them online with addresses not included and with signatures not included, similar to most of the way councils do it, which seems to be the most straightforward way to do it as such, Chair. Thank you.
That's fine, Councillor Lavery. Thank you. Alderman Moutry.
Thank you, Chair. Well, what a change in a couple of months. The mandate, or the cry a couple of months ago was openness and transparency. Everybody must see what's happening. Well, let me inform Councillor Lavery and anybody that needs to know within this. My home address is available for everybody to see on my declaration of interest. And if we're going to be open and transparent on some issues with the ratepayer, let's be open and transparent on all issues with the ratepayer. Really, maybe now Councillor Lavery can see the nonsense of the proposal that he brought, and all the proposal that he's brought is going to do is going to increase the workload of officers in this council. I second Alderman Baxter's proposal.
Thank you, Alderman Moutry. Councillor Evans.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to second option 2. I understand openness and transparency, but as a councillor in this room, I've had to move house twice because of domestic abuse, and I do not want my address published for everybody to see. So I'll be going with option 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. Councillor Mackel.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'd be happy up with Councillor Lavery's proposal, option 2, but given some members are uber transparent, I would maybe give members the option to have their addresses included if they wished, which would offer protection for those that wished it. So just that, if Councillor Lavery's happy with that, slight amendment to his proposal.
Councillor Lavery, are you satisfied with that?
I know, still getting used to the system. Yeah, content if people want to publish their addresses, but that the default is that they're not published, and that permission should be sought. As is rightly pointed out by Councillor Evans, there is issues, and those should be respected. And I think we're all, well, maybe some of us aren't content with my proposal, but I think the vast majority of us are, and hopefully that will gain support this evening, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Lavery. I'll allow Alderman Baxter back in.
I just ask for a bit of clarity then, in terms of the sheets that we fill in that are held here in council that anyone can come and see. Is there anything redacted on those? Because now we're going to have to duplicate it and put it online as well, so there's going to be a disparity then between, or we're not going to redact it all. So really, the whole proposal of openness transparency, it's actually there's going to be less information, because if we do it online, surely we have to redact them then on the hard files that we keep here. Maybe just shouldn't put our names and addresses on them at all and let people guess who's what and what's going on. The whole thing, it just proves, the whole thing from start to finish has been a total farce, and the whole thing is a waste of time. It's a waste of officer time, and it's a waste of public time too. Because the stuff's here. The stuff's here. The stuff's always been here. Nobody's ever raised an issue. If anybody wants to see the information, they can come and see it. We're quite happy as a party that it's all published online. Obviously, as Councillor Evans has pointed out, there's a sensitivity there. In cases like that, yes, obviously you redact the way it goes in the electoral register too. I think any victims of domestic abuse on the electoral register are allowed to kick their addresses off. So I think in cases like that, and I would make that an addendum in my proposal that in cases like that, obviously there's provision that addresses don't have to be published in those cases. But for everything else, if we're going to be open and transparent, let's do it.
Thank you, Alderman Baxter. Councillor O'Dowd.
Thanks, Chair. I I think there's a difference between someone coming into the council and checking a hard copy than clicking a button on a computer. It's quite easier to do, and I would prefer if my address and signature wasn't online. I'm sure people know where we live, but at the same time, I don't want to make it easier for them.
I have to agree, Councillor. I doubt enough people know where I live as it is, without more. Councillor Mackel?
Thank you, Chair. No, I just think that Alderman Baxter's proposal, that cases like that, you know, that addendum, I think is a bit vague. I think if members agree that their addresses can go up, then they go up. If members don't want their address to go up, they don't. Straightforward as that, you know.
Yes, members of Faith, thank you, Councillor Mackel. It feels like we've got about 10 different proposals on the table. So we have, yeah, I was going to come back to that, Alderman Baxter. So we have option one. You propose that we have option one, full transparency, but in cases, certain cases. But what are those cases? If you could bring some clarity to that, and then we can.
As members here will know, any elected member, that the electoral register, I think if we mirror it on what the electoral office do, in terms of people in witness protection, for example, or in terms of people that suffer domestic abuse, their addresses aren't printed on the electoral register, so we just mirror what they do.
Thank you.
And then the question, Chair.
Yeah, just on your point from earlier, the Chief Executive has just noted that that would be something that we would need to check between now and whenever this ever comes into fruition at some point. So members, we have two proposals, so I'll get clarity on option two, because I feel there's a number of amendments in that as well. Councillor Lavery, if you just want to go, just make it clear for everybody here what you're agreeable to. Thank you.
So my option is that, in line with other councils, that they're typed and put online rather than just loading up the form, and that members' addresses and signatures are not included as default, but they can be included if they want to, at a later date with agreement. I think it's quite disappointing, some of Alderman Baxter's comments tonight, given people's safety and things like that, and it's almost in quite a frivolous manner. So that might be my proposal, that they're typed online, and then those caveats are. Content enough, Chair?
Thank you, Councillor Lavery. So, knocking myself off there. Sorry, members. So we're not agreeable. So we have two options on the table. So we will bring the first proposal by Alderman Baxter to a vote. If you just give us a few minutes to get that set up. Recorded vote, no problem. Thank you. Yep, so members' voting is now open for Alderman Baxter's proposal. Thank you. Yep, members' votes now closed. Thank you. Okay, members, thank you for your patience. So for votes in favour it was 7 and votes against was 12. So those who voted for yes, Alderman Baxter, Councillor Herr, Councillor McLennan, Councillor McElrath, Councillor Moutry, Alderman Rankin, and no, the Chair, the Vice Chair, Councillor Donnelly, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Evans, Councillor Lavery, Councillor Mackle, Councillor Mallon, Councillor McConville Walker, Councillor O'Dowd, Councillor Savage and Councillor Kevin Savage. So members, that proposal falls. So we'll move to the proposal 2, which is option 2. Alderman Baxter, you're okay? You're all right. So we'll move to option 2, which was the proposal by Councillor Lavery and seconded by Councillor Evans. We'll get a vote open on that now. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. I need to double check just what the current is in terms of the physical records and papers, but in terms of Councillor Lavery's proposal, I suppose it's a case of his committee then agreed, given that the previous proposal has fallen. Okay, thank you. Kate has indicated to speak, so I'll let her in for some advice.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Alderman Baxter, if somebody requested to come in and see a hard copy, we would redact the signatures and addresses. It hasn't happened before, but since I've been in post, if I became aware of a request, then that, you know, we would create a second copy of the documents with the redactions. So there'll be a consistent approach.
Thank you, Alderman Baxter.
Thank you. Can I just ask another question then, just on the back of this, and I don't need the information tonight or even, just even for next month. How many times it has been requested that anybody has actually come in to look at the documents?
Yep, that's no problem. Thank you. Are we ready? Yeah, we're ready for a vote now, members, so we'll open it now. Yeah. Patricia's done the hard work, so we'll open the vote for openness and transparency. So it's open now, members. Okay, members, we'll close the vote. Okay, thank you. Just a wee minute while we get the results. Thank you, members. So we have our results. So the motion, or the option 2, carries with 19 in favour and none against. So that's okay. Thanks, members. So we can move on now to 6.2. So a revision of standing orders about AOB and deputations. So back to Kate. Thanks, Kate.
Good evening, members. The report is taken as read again, and members will recall that at the GRS committee in November, members agreed to amend the council standing orders in respect of provisions on AOB and deputations. The report sets out my proposed amendments to the standing orders, which reflect the new position in respect of these provisions. I don't propose to go through them in any detail. Members will be aware that under Standing Order 29.2, it states that any proposal to add to, vary or revoke standing orders will, when proposed and seconded, stand adjourned without discussion to the next ordinary meeting of the Council. Consequently, this matter tonight, if proposed and seconded, will need to stand adjourned until February's committee meeting and can be discussed and decided upon then. Members are therefore simply asked to consider the proposed amendments to the standing orders outlined in the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kate. Members, if you have any questions? Councillor Lavery?
No, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Kate. Just a quick query. So if we go with the 10 a.m. Deadline for AOB, will the AOB items then be like circulated via email, or will it be like added to decision time as a notification method, or will that be debated in due course?
Thank you, Councillor Lavery. Kate?
Come in. Yeah, Councillor Lavery, good point. Look, it could be either. Unfortunately, Wendy's not here this evening, but I can't see any operational reason why both couldn't happen. If that suits members.
Brilliant, Kate. Thank you very much. I'll allow Roger in.
I think probably, Chair, the only caveat would be quite often if there's an AOB item comes in, there can be discussion with the individual member and it ends up getting removed. So we could probably maybe work through some of the operational aspects around that, but certainly we understand the point been made by Councillor Lavery.
Thank you, Roger. Members, if we're content, this is a decision item, so just need a proposer and seconder. Oh, Oliver Baxter.
Yeah, I think just on that point, Chair, if we are getting the 2 hours, if there's a 2 hour difference, it would really need to be in the papers. And I think that was the whole point of the discussion in the working group, that it would be, because I think sometimes AOB things, when they come, it's a surprise to most of the members who don't know nothing about it. So I think that was the discussion in the working group, that members would be aware then, and that's why it had to come in earlier. So I think that was the whole premise around it. Just maybe for that.
Yeah, thank you. Members, are we all agreed? Councillor Savage? Kevin, this one?
Sir, did you propose it, Alderman Baxter? Look, Chair, I'm happy to propose it, but maybe, if an item of AOB comes in, put provisionally beside it, or something to denote that it could change, something like that. But as this isn't a decided until next month, look, I'm happy to propose now, and we can flash that out between now and then, hopefully. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Savage. Can we have a seconder, members, please? Seconded by Councillor Duffy, thank you. And again, members, back to Kate for 6.3, the portrait of King Charles III. Thank you.
Good evening, members. This is an item for decision and the report is taken as read. Members will recall that at September's committee meeting, I was asked to investigate possible locations where the portrait of the late Queen could be relocated to. One suggestion made was the palace in Armagh. Members will see in the report that I've listed two options where the portrait could be relocated to. One option is Primate's Chapel in Armagh. This is a small chapel which is located next to the palace. It's where the late Queen conferred city status on Armagh in 1995, and a plaque was erected in the entrance to the chapel to record this event, and the portrait could be erected above that plaque. Photographs are attached to the report, and the second option is that the report is archived to the County Museum. Members are asked to consider the two options listed in the report in relation to the relocation of the portrait of the late Queen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kate. Councillor Evans.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the report, Kate, and I appreciate you taking the time to look into this for me. I wouldn't have asked had the Queen not been one of our longest serving monarchs, and I'd like to propose that we go with option 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kyle Savage.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'd like to second that. I think it's very fitting that the portrait of our late Queen will be where she conferred city status in Armagh, in the spot. So, happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Savage. Members, if we're all agreed, we can go with option 1. No dissenting voices, so that's fine. Thank you. So, members, we'll move on to agenda item 7, correspondence of which we have none. So, can I have a proposer and seconder to go into committee for confidential business? Proposed by Councillor O'Dowd, seconded by Councillor Lavery. Thank you. Members and online viewers, in accordance with Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act, we will now be moving into a confidential session of the Council. This means that we will be turning off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting is restarted. Can I ask ICT to please turn off the feed and confirm with me when the confidential section of this meeting can proceed? Thank you. So members, can I propose and seconder degree recommendations in committee? Proposed by Councillor O'Dowd, seconded by Councillor Donnelly. And members, I have no items of other relevant. We go live and then my voice goes. Relevant business. So safe home and thank you very much.